Us to talk to Chris Kiptum via Zoom. He is from the meteorological department, and I want him to tell us more about what to expect in the coming few months. Chris, good morning. Good to see you. I think to start off, basically, I'd want just to know, how has the Kenya Meteorological Department prepared for the upcoming El-Nino rains?
Yes, good morning. My name is Chris from the Met Department. When it comes to the short rain season, normally we have two major seasons, that is the short rains and the long rains. For these short rains, we are having a number of factors that influence the rains, and that is the El-Nino as well as the Indian Ocean dipole. For this coming season, what we've done is that we've held a National Climate Outlook Forum to brief the other sectors who are partnering with us when it comes to this, and we've been able to co-produce and co-develop advisories when it comes to the El-Nino rains forecast. So what we are foreseeing is that we are likely to see above average rains for most parts of the country, and that is especially for the higher probabilities, especially for the northeastern part of the country, as well as the ASAL regions that includes the northwest, the northeast, and parts of southeastern lowlands, as well as the coastal region. Mm-hmm. And for the highlands west of the Rift Valley and the Lake Victoria Basin region, we still foresee increased probabilities of above average rains, and that is normal, especially that is above normal. We are looking at analog years like 1997 and 2006, which were the other El-Nino years that we've seen.
Right. What specific measures and early warning systems are in place to mitigate the potential impact of El-Nino rains on communities in Kenya?
So when it comes to the mitigation efforts that we are putting, what we are doing is dissemination of these forecasts. Our mandate as Kenya Met Department is majorly to inform the public and to give forecasts and advisories as well, in order to inform the public of the impending rainfall season for them to prepare now. Our mandate ends at providing forecast. However, this time we are working with other sectors, including health, agriculture, transport, aviation, as well as the disaster management sectors to mitigate the impacts of this rain. So we co-develop advisories, including the Kenya Red Cross, the Kenyans, as well as other major disaster response institutions within the country, including that includes the National Drought Management Authority, the National Disaster Management Unit, the National Disaster Operations Center, where we have meetings in order to co-develop advisories to mitigate the impacts of the
Right. We'll continue, of course, talking about the mitigation measures, but I want us to just talk about what you initially earlier talked about. The El-Nino rains, of course, was experienced in also 2006-2015, but the worst hit, of course, was in 1997 for a period of 10 months. Is it going to be as bad as the one in 1997? Because there's a bit of that fear in the country.
So when we were looking at this forecast, we managed to look at these other El-Nino years, and some of them include 1961, 1987, 1997, 2006, 2015, and 2019 was also one of the years where we had excess rainfall, especially for the OND season. OND, of course, meaning the October, November, December season. So apart from El-Nino, we have a major driver that impacts our rainfall, especially for the short rains. That is the Indian Ocean dipole. That one now means that the western part of the Indian Ocean becomes warmer than the eastern part of the Indian Ocean, and that constitutes above average rainfall for much of Eastern Africa. El-Nino, just to explain to the public, is a phenomenon where the eastern part of the Indian Ocean, the central and the eastern part of the Indian Ocean, sea surface temperatures become warmer than average, and that constitutes the El-Nino. And when we have a combination of both the El-Nino and the Indian Ocean dipole is when we have excess enhanced rainfall for much of Eastern Africa. The impacts of El-Nino are varied across the world, and for Eastern Africa, we are likely to see above average rainfall. For parts of Southern Africa, we see below average rainfall, and as well as parts of Australia. And it comes to the forecast, of course, like I've mentioned before, above average rainfall is likely for much of Eastern Africa. So looking at 1997, we got above average rainfall. We had both El-Nino and the Indian Ocean dipole. And for 1997, now that meant enhanced rains for much of, not just Kenya, but much of Eastern Africa. So the impacts of these rains, even across the borders, we have rivers that flow into our country, and because of that, it may increase and even increase the levels of the river levels, as well as break banks, especially when you look at counties like Mandera and parts of West Pokot and parts of Taita, where rivers flow in from other countries, Tanzania and Uganda and parts of Ethiopia. So we are working with other countries to develop these forecasts, and we are sensitizing the communities across Eastern Africa.
Right. Just joining us right now in studio is Engineer Geoffrey Tirop. He's from the Nairobi County. He's the Chief Officer of Public Works, of course, just to talk about the same conversation. Thank you so much for making time. We were just having a conversation with the meteorological department there. We were talking to Chris Kiptum. So far from where you sit, the Nairobi City County, what are you thinking about when it comes to the El Nino preparedness? Are we ready?
All right, thank you very much for having me here today. I would like to say that Nairobi City County is well prepared to tackle the effects of the impending El Nino under the leadership of His Excellency, the Governor, Johnson Sakaja. Our teams are well prepared. We have already set out to start the preparations. We have launched the Green Army, and we are running a Marshall Plan that will ensure that the effects of the expected El Nino rains, the impact is reduced on the population of Nairobi.
Just focusing on flash floods, could you provide more details about specific challenges that are associated with the floods that the Marshall Plan aims to mitigate?
On the expected flash floods, we have a team already on the ground. We've deployed 3,500 young people to clean the drains, to make sure that all the drains are functioning. We are supporting them with equipment and technical staff. And we expect, because of the development in the city, over a period of time, you know, the areas which were initially covered in vegetation are currently, because of development, there's concrete surfaces, and we expect a serious runoff. So what we are doing currently is to ensure that the water that is coming out from the structures, the road services, is actually channeled into the right drains.
I just want to bring in now Chris from the Met Department. Chris, if you can still hear me, how does the Kenya Meteorological Department now collaborate with other government agencies like he's talking about to enhance preparedness for El Nino in the country?
Initially, some years back, we used to provide just weather forecasts. Of course, we issue daily forecast, weekly forecast, and monthly forecast, and the major one being the seasonal forecast. And recently, we've partnered with all the sectors, and we invite them for this climate outlook forum that I mentioned earlier, where we collaborate and develop advisories together. Our mandate ends at providing focus, but now what we do is we collaborate and produce advisories depending on the likely scenarios that are likely to occur in the coming season. So for health, for agriculture, for water and energy, disaster management, as well as environment and forestry, given that we are seeing a possibility of heavy rains for this coming season. We've been able to provide advisories, and we've partnered with them. And in terms of the counties, we have county meteorological services across all the 47 counties, and our county directors are having participatory scenario planning forums where they co-develop and co-produce sectory advisories, and all the sectors are involved. So that includes agriculture, disaster management. To take advantage of these rains, we don't have to see the negative aspect only. We can also look at the positive aspects that include preparing land for agricultural practices as well as water harvesting. So we are partnering with most of this, and we are disseminating a lot of this information on social media, and also this is available on our website and many other platforms.
Right, I want us to just now talk about Nairobi County, since we have a representative here. Chris, what are the possible effects that we are expecting to see in Nairobi County specifically?
What we are doing with Nairobi County is our county director has provided the same information, warning of the impending rains that are likely to begin possibly for the Highlands East, including Nairobi County. At least from the 2nd to the 3rd week of October is when we'll start seeing the onset of these rains. So we have provided this information and supplementary information, even with much more details on how these rains are likely to occur. So for the county now is their work to prepare and clear drainages and do water harvesting, and I think the county, the governor has prepared, has developed he has prepared an El-Nino preparedness team to work on the likely possibly to clear the drainage system and all the other issues that are likely to occur because of the rains.
Right. Thanks for that. Engineer, just coming back to you, just basically the same question. What are the possible effects that we are expecting to see when it comes to Nairobi County? Okay.
Nairobi, we are expecting serious damage to the infrastructure, roads, bridges, and various infrastructure in the city will be affected by the El-Nino rains. Besides, also there is the social effects into the population. And I must say that with the program that His Excellency the Governor has launched on school feeding, apart from the development partners, Red Cross, World Food Program, who are coming in to support emergency in terms of handling the population that will be affected by the floods. I must say that the school feeding program could not have come at a better time, because you would expect a child, especially the day scholars, going home for lunch in the heavy rains. So we look at that as a positive. It has fit in place, even though it was not done because of El-Nino, but I'm seeing that as one of the positive things that the county has done.
Right.
Apart from now that social effect in the population, we have deployed engineers across the 17 sub-counties of Nairobi, working with the Green Army, and they are out to detail the possible, we've mapped out the hotspots in the city and the possible effects on the infrastructure. So we are detailing that, and we'll actually even develop the cost implication due to the effects of El-Nino.